In the last few days, we have seen the issue of George Soros actually resonating in the parliament, echoing the parliament. To discuss this, we have with us former Foreign Secretary of India, Kanwal Sibal. Thank you, Ambassador Sibal, for joining us on this discussion. In the last few days, we have seen the BJP make very serious allegations, sir. And they are saying that the Congress party leaders have had ties with organizations and individuals that are allegedly funded by George Soros Foundation, including those that have supported the idea of an independent Kashmir. Congress party, of course, has said that these are theories of deep state and they cannot be part of serious political discourse. As someone who has had a keen understanding of how countries work at different levels to exert their levels of influence, how seriously should we take these allegations? What do they mean for a democracy like India?
Well, you remember that George Soros at Davos had made a statement that the fate of Adani and Modi is interlinked. And if Adani falls, then Modi will fall, something to that effect. And our External Affairs Minister at that time had commented on this to say that, when an old man says things here and there, we need not pay too much attention. But this old man has a lot of money at his disposal, a lot of funds at his disposal, and he has a record of interfering in the internal affairs of country. Just ask the Hungarian president about what he thinks about Soros, because originally he's from Hungary. He's absolutely vicious about Soros. And there are others too who question the credentials of the Open Society Foundation, in the sense that it is well known, I mean, leave the India question out for the moment, it's well known that he spends his money, his funds, on promoting democracy abroad. This is his passion. Now, of course, he's very old, frankly. I was told by someone that he's not even able to speak. His health has deteriorated so much. And the empire has gone into the hands of his son. But I'm also told that the son has no gravitas. He's very lightweight. And people who have met him have given me that impression of him. But nevertheless, it's not only Soros. There are other sources of funding for many of these foundations, Omidyar and this and that, who actually have made it a point to promote democracy in other countries and fund the campaigns and the local lobbies who would want to launch campaigns. Now, whether Soros is involved in what is happening in Georgia or what is happening in Romania is an open question. Right. The other thing which has complicated this debate is that the US State Department funds this OCC, whatever it is called, and which means that the United States Department, who actually, in terms of policy, through their reports and statements, openly say that they are in the business of promoting democracy abroad. And they have, as you know, engaged in a lot of regime changes here and there in the name of promoting democracy. We've also seen how what you may call the deep state or the establishment in the United States is attacking India very viciously all these years. And I have been commenting on it. I've been following this. The New York Times or the Washington Post or the Economist or the Wall Street Journal or the Financial Times or the Le Monde or France 24 or DW. There is a method in this madness. These are all Western news agencies and Western media persons, academics, and think tank people from think tanks who have this consistent line of bringing into disrepute India's democracy. Right. Now, I don't want to get into this debate, but what becomes a bit complicated to understand is that why is it that on the opposition side here, the language they speak on Adani, Modi, this and that, is the language that Soros has used a few years ago. And then all this campaign against backsliding of democracy in India and capture of institutions, curbs on freedom of press. In other words, create a narrative globally, which would, to the extent it can be effective on the ground, damage India and India's prospects of it attracting foreign investment and everything else by giving the impression that India is sliding into a kind of a political and administrative system which is not very conducive to Western values.
Okay.
And I have heard one or two people from very, very powerful US businessmen in informal conversations saying that in our boardroom, this question comes up.
Okay.
Though, of course, he said that they look at the larger picture and the prospects of investment in India and what the Indian economy can bring to global growth and also promote the interests of US companies. Therefore, they don't take that seriously, but it is something that their attention is drawn to.
Okay.
So I'm a bit surprised that the BJP has decided to make this public in such a frank manner at this point in time. And probably the explanation could be that this is, but before I say that, I must also say that there is a dual policy in the United States. So we should not unnecessarily tar the United States with all kinds of evil intentions. There are elements in the United States who are, for larger geopolitical reasons, favorably inclined towards India.
Okay.
And have begun to treat India with much greater respect than before. They see the value of India as a partner in the Indo-Pacific. They see the threatening posture of China, the threat from China, which would be at the cost of American hegemony or American power. And they need a partner in Asia. And the only partner which can measure up to metrics that would make it credible that China can be deterred is India. And then we've had so much agreements, ICET, INDEX, everything else that we've done in terms of boosting our ties with the United States. So there's the positive side. But the United States is what it is. I mean, the manner in which they almost made sure that Trump could not fight the election shows how they politicized their judicial system and everything else. And they have done it in our case too, by this indictment against Adani and et cetera, et cetera. So we have to look at this holistically.
Right.
So the reality is the United States is a partner, a credible partner, but also is a problem.
Okay. And so how do you look at the working of organizations like OCCRP in this? Because, how does one deal with something like this? Does talking to governments whose agencies are doing such clandestine work, urging them to desist from manufacturing dissent, does that work? Because, sir, there's also a section that strongly believes that mobilization for right causes is completely okay in a democracy. So how do you deal with that, sir?
Yes, of course. I mean, you are absolutely right. But this mobilization should come from within. What right do other countries have to mobilize their forces and try and improve Indian democracy? I think with much more credibility, we can ask the United States to improve their own democracy. Look at the manner in which Trump has been hounded. He almost couldn't stand for re-election. And also they politicize the judiciary in such a blatant manner. And of course, the entire democratic election system is full of frailties, full of deficiencies. This electoral college, et cetera, et cetera. And there's such polarization in the United States. Is that a good thing in a democracy? Because this has repercussions for the rest of the world too. Now, we should manage our own problems. It is quite clear that we have a lot of problems. There's no doubt about it. Nobody has denied that we have problems. We want to be on the cusp of real growth. We are the 5th largest, hopefully 3rd largest, and then maybe in 2047, the 2nd largest, if we can maintain this trajectory. So the future is with us. And this worries some people.
Okay.
There are people who are well-intentioned because they can see a lot of profits coming from this, and of course the China angle. But there are others who worry that China is bad enough. You have another very powerful country, India, with a record of not joining alliances, preserving its strategic autonomy, taking independent decisions, that the more India becomes strong, the more difficult it will be to manage India. Therefore, they like to keep India on the tenterhooks find some ways to put pressure on India and see if they can disrupt this trajectory or slow down this trajectory. Both things are working on the ground in the United States and the West.
Right. So my last question to you, some Congress leaders have also dismissed deep state as, conspiracy theory. In fact, Dr. Shashi Tharoor called it an attack dog behavior. How critical is the deep state when it comes to the power that America holds today?
Is Mr. Shashi Tharoor or anybody else better informed than Donald Trump about the deep state? He's talking about the deep state and how he's going to finish the deep state. Now, is he joking? Is he talking in there? He's talking from experience. And he wants he has announced, I don't think he'll be able to do all that he says. He says that look at the manner in which the debacle in Afghanistan happened. And I want 50 generals to give their designation to me on the day I take over charge. He's also talked about cleaning up the FBI, and he's put Kash Patel, who's a formidable personality and who'll do this. And then, of course, he lambasts the CNN and the media, New York Times, the manner in which he actually dismisses New York Times as a newspaper, calling it a rag and this and that. But he's the man who best knows what's happening in his country.
Okay.
So who are we, opposition leaders here and there, to say that there is no deep state? I mean, do they have better information than the Republican Party and Donald Trump?
Right. And sir, when the spokesperson of the US Embassy describes these allegations as disappointing, how do you see that? Is it also the kind of duplicity that we often talk about, and also the two Americas that are there? And in the light of these recent events, also because Donald Trump is going to be the president from next month, how do you see US-India relations evolving and the power of deep state sort of evolving from there on?
Two things: that if the US Embassy had kept quiet entirely, then this narrative would begin to gain steam. So they would be then forced to react. So they have reacted, but they have reacted in a very mild way, saying that we are disappointed. They have not attacked us in return in brutal terms. So it is half an admission that there is some merit to what we are saying, because they've not gone all guns blazing on this, which they could do. But they have the larger picture in mind, and rightly so. They represent, after all, the United States here, and they have to look at the totality of the relationship and the future of the relationship. So why, by reacting very strongly, create a problem in terms of ties? Because it will strengthen suspicions in India that there is some truth in what is being said. And as I said, there are two elements in the United States. One that are pro-India or positively inclined towards India, and those simply who do not like India. Frankly, they just do not like India. Right. And they want to curb India's rise and create internal problems for us. And they have a political choice in the country. And their political choice is against BJP and Modi. So the embassy therefore had to say something, but they have said it in relatively, in a cautionary way.
Right. Thank you, Ambassador Kanwal Sibal, former Foreign Secretary of India, speaking to NDTV on the implications of deep state, what it really means, and also what India needs to watch out. Thank you so much.